So this understanding of the differences was the key.
It was definitely the first pillar, like a foundational piece, to realize that it's not that you and your partner are fundamentally wrong. You've been programmed to communicate and operate in your relationship a certain way based on conditioning, parents, role models, events that have happened. We'd had a lot of past hurt. So I was bringing that into the relationships, times where Adam hadn't been completely truthful, or he'd lied, or, and I was bringing that back into the relationship. So we're going to go through three main things, because that's probably all we can fit into today, but there is a lot more to this. And if you want more information, reach out to us. But the number one we wanted to start with was the learning to understand each other better. So not just, a lot of us have a very surface level understanding of our partners. We expect that that's going to carry us through into these long, thriving relationships. And it's just not true. It's like anything, even with your job, or even parenting. If you're not being open to learn another way or understand them deeper as they grow as children or as a partner, if you're not willing to learn how they grow, understand how they develop and their process and things like that, you can't actually come together and move forward together.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to kind of get on that journey together. And it understanding how we work differently in relation to communication has been really helpful for us. If you've got any wounds around not being heard, not being listened to, not feeling safe to express your truth, a lot of us have a lot of childhood wounds around that. And if you don't understand these differences, you can then think that your partner is just playing out those wounds or that trauma again and again and again. And it's simply not true. In a lot of cases, it's just that we don't have this deeper understanding that would actually help us. It's like the foundation. It's like we're trying to have these amazing conversations and connections and everything, and we've got like no foundation. It's crazy. So we hear from couples a lot, and I'm sure you guys can relate, that they feel like they can't have deep conversations. They feel like their partner isn't listening to them. They don't feel understood. They feel like they can't get on the same page. They can't laugh and like just relax and enjoy each other's company
like they used to when they first got together. That's like been and gone years ago. And they've got no idea how to get back to that place. But there is a way back.
There is. And it's like they say things like, see, in the beginning, I thought it was funny that he did that. Or it was like, she was really interesting. But now it's like, he's really annoying or she's really frustrating. So it's like, it's really interesting that this happens. So basically, in order to have better communication, we must have better understanding. Understanding is like the foundation of better communication. So although men and women are equal as on a soul level, it does not mean we are the same, or that we have to be the same to be equal, or to have equal respect for each other. That's not what it means. And a lot of us think that because that's how we've kind of been
and there
trained.
Has been this whole movement and this whole thing of women wanting to have equal rights as men. It's created a bit of confusion. Because fundamentally at like a physiological level, we are actually different. Our brains are totally different and they're wired differently, and they've done studies on this to show the differences. So, and
we're going to talk about some of those differences. And those differences can actually serve our relationship if we understand them and we work with them.
And we appreciate them.
100%. At the moment, like we were, the old us, we didn't understand them on a deeper level. We didn't know them, and we were not using them to serve our relationship. We were using them to hurt each other and make each other wrong. And that's what many of the couples that we work with are doing, and you're probably doing the same. So these differences are meant to serve us, and they're meant to make us stronger, not weaker. So how this shows up, and we were doing the same thing, a lot of couples communicate to each other as if their partner should be the same sex as them. So I was doing the same thing. Like I was talking to Adam like he should be a woman. And then I was wondering why I wasn't getting what I wanted back because I wanted a female's response. I wanted a female's understanding, but he's a man and he was doing the same.
And I was doing the same. I was being quite direct and short and like always constantly focused on the outcome and like, what are we talking about? What's the purpose of this conversation? Where are we going? Where are we trying to get to? And that's very masculine. It's very like, it's just the natural way for men to communicate. Like, why are we having this conversation? Where's it leading to? What's the goal? But that doesn't work in a relationship. Women just want to express themselves and they don't want you to try and, you know,
we have completely different goals. And we're going to get, that's, I think, the third one we're going to share today, the goals of communication for men and women. They're completely different. And if you understand them and you work with them, your communication will flow better and you'll have a better understanding. So having respect in communication is huge, but how you actually build that is by appreciating the differences in men and women and how we communicate, not by demanding that they do it our way or demanding that they understand us. It's actually about seeking to understand them and how they operate, how they work, and appreciating that, not trying to make it wrong. Appreciating who they are and what they're bringing to the table, what they have to offer. That's how you build respect in communication. And particularly for men, it's really hard for men to open up in communication, ladies, like really hard. You know, it's almost been drummed out of them. You know, in society, the way we live in the world, all the things that have happened over the generations. So
and also as an evolutionary thing. Men couldn't be emotional and share their emotions because we were the hunters. If we got emotional and started crying, and you know, we'd be killed. We'd be shot with an arrow or a gun. So it's an evolutionary thing for men to not be as good at accessing their emotions. But now the world's changed. So now we need to practice. And this is something I had to learn. It took me a long time to learn how to access this.
This is a new thing because it's men were just out of the home for such a long time, but now men and women are both working and then they're both looking after the children. So women are just better at multitasking and switching hats. That's our brains allow us to do that because everything is connected. Men's brains, everything is separate. So that's why they're literally at work or they're at home or they're with the kids. Like they're all these separate boxes. There's that separation in their brain. But the way we're living now with men being at home more, some men working from home, it doesn't allow that separation. So a lot of men are struggling because they're having to learn a new way. And if you're retired or you are spending more time at home, this can be a new thing that come up. Like a lot of people later in life, they loved their relationship when the partner was always away working. But now he's at home all the time. They're like, okay, what do I do? Like they're here all the time. What do we do? What does this look like? So it is a new territory that we're all navigating at the moment, and it's asking different things of men and women. And some of this we've never really done before. So we can't really look to our mothers, even as women, because a lot of them just stayed at home while the men worked. And it could work then. That worked then, but it doesn't work now. In the world we're living in, it doesn't work now. It's a completely different world.
But just to summarize on that point, if we can just take expectation and replace it with appreciation for each other and our differences.
And we're going to go deeper into that.
It radically changes things,
in the second point. Okay. But I just wanted to give you some of these differences. So like we said, women communicate a lot faster. So as you just saw there, I was like flying past and Adam was like, what's going on? And he's learned to like love that about me and laugh about it rather than get annoyed at me. So we're always on the same page, but it's in different ways. So Adam loves now that he knows I'm always a few pages ahead. I'm always like a few steps ahead. The feminine wants to preempt. That's, you know, she wants to be prepared. She uses her intuition. Everything is connected in her brain biologically. So, you know, there's more connections between the left and right hemispheres. There's lots going on in a woman's brain all of the time. Women's brains have 10 times more white matter than men's. So, you know, there's all these.
And that white matter is the connection between all the different points in the brain, whereas men have more gray matter, which is the information processing parts of the brain. But it's interesting how we have more as in terms of an IQ level, it's actually the same. They've done tests to show that men aren't smarter than women and women aren't smarter than men. It's just a different makeup and the way in which we then communicate.
Yeah, and how we process things.
Yeah.
So men tend to process things slower.
Yeah.
They just do, biologically.
And it's not because we're dumb or
no.
It's just the way that our brain is wired. We just need to go away and take some time to feel our feelings and
this can come up as a problem in communication sometimes.
And it did for us for a long time.
It did for us. I never would feel comfortable letting Adam leave the conversation. Like if he needed a break or wasn't speaking, I'd be like, hello, have you got nothing to say about that? Like I've just spoke for like half an hour. Have you got nothing to say?
It was like, we're resolving this right this second. If you can't feel your feelings and tell me exactly what you're feeling right now, it's over.
Oh God. I seriously look back and I'm like, oh my God, how embarrassing. But I see this in couples all the time, that's because I'm in me and how I process, and a woman processes faster. She feels her feelings, she lets it run through her body. And this is a woman who's connected to her feminine. Like some women, and I've been in my masculine in the past, I found it harder to process my feelings. I found it harder to communicate it as well, and I would suppress it. So it doesn't mean it's not there, but I would push it down, and then it would just like creep out as resentment. And Gemma can probably relate, if other women watching can relate to that. So that's, so women really we are just faster. We do process faster. We, language and talking and expressing is a big thing for women. It actually makes us feel good. Women even can feel good while they're fighting or after a fight, because there's lots of talking that happens. It's not like that for men.
No.
So it's totally different. So for men, communication is slower. It's a lot slower. They need a lot more time to process. They can even forget what they've said 10 minutes ago. And that's like a design in their brain. I mean, I wish I had that design. Don't you, ladies? Like, to be like, I just literally forgot. And it's like, it's not even there. It's like literally wiped clean. Like the whiteboard is completely white, completely clear. I've never experienced a woman ever experience that. Women have always got so many tabs open, so many scribbles on the board. Like it's never blank.
And that's actually a difference, like a major physiological difference in our brains. But also with the way the modern world is now, that's not to say men don't have stress and women are completely stressed, because we're both stressed.
And we deal with it differently.
Yeah, we just deal with it differently. Stressed. The world's changed radically. We're all under a lot more pressure than our parents were and the generation before that. And so...
And then new stresses.
Yeah, they're new stresses. It's learning to deal with those.
And how men deal with that stress is by not talking.
Yeah.
And this drives women crazy. It used to drive me crazy with Adam. I'd be like, is he just checked out? Does he not even care? But I had no idea that he was internalizing his stress. A lot of men internalize their stress and process it inside. They don't share it until they understand it themselves. Whereas women will be like, I don't understand this. I'm so stressed. I'm so frustrated. I don't know how to process this. I'm going to externalize it and just tell everybody about it until I can make sense of it.
Yeah.
And so it's completely different. And one isn't right or wrong, but we have to understand the same way it frustrates me that Adam internalizes the stress, the same way it frustrates him that I externalize my stress. Yeah. But it's learning to realize that I'm not doing it from a place of intentionally hurting him, and he's not doing it from a place of intentionally hurting me. And that's true for you guys too. This is where you have to come back to some of these biological differences and realize that's just the way it is. That is how he processes. He's never going to process like me. And the more I understand the way he processes and I appreciate it, I accept it, and I let him do what he needs to do, the less I try to change his process, the more he goes through it quicker and the more he lets me go through my process. Back to the beginning story, when I used to try and rush Adam through the process or make his process match mine, it just got worse. Yeah. The argument got worse and bigger, and you guys have probably experienced this. It would go on for hours or days or weeks or months because he could not process the way I process. He just can't.
And I felt like it was impossible for me to succeed in that situation. Like no matter what I did or tried to do, I couldn't succeed. And when a man feels like he can't succeed, like he's trying to reach the target, but he can't get there, he'll give up.
Yeah, he
He'll
doesn't
check out,
try harder.
and he won't try harder.
Whereas women will try harder. That's again complete different things in our biology, and it just, that is how we work. Men, and I have a son, and I can already see it in my son compared to my daughter. My son is 5, but if he's pushed too hard and he feels like he isn't being rewarded or praised, or he's not succeeding, he wants to give up. Yeah. My daughter will go, I'll try again. And she's younger than him. But it's just these differences in what we need to bring out the best in us. Yeah. And it's amazing just how much healing it can bring if you can bring it back to these differences and stop making it about that they're wrong or you're right, or because that's not true. It's really not true.
And then going back to the differences, I mean, men only have one language center in their brain, but women have 5. Yeah. So it just shows you how much language processing power a woman's brain has over a man's, and why women can communicate so fluently and effectively and get their emotions out.
That's why women are so good at communication. That's why it's one of our skills. It's one of our gifts. It's not one of men's. No. It's just not. But one of their gifts can be listening. And we're going to get to that. Like, most men don't know how to listen because they listen to fix a problem, and that's not listening. Yeah. So we will get deeper into that because that is really confusing for men.
Another thing for men too, which might be a surprise to some women out there, is that men have a nothing box. Yes. We literally like to go there every day, and usually it's after work.
Multiple times a day.
But it's a place where we just need to empty, because men need to empty, whereas women need to fill up. So to de-stress, men want to empty, and to empty, they go in their nothing box. And for every guy, it's slightly different. Maybe it's having a beer outside. Yeah. Maybe it's on their phone, Xbox, watching a show,
running.
Yeah, it could be anything. But that's their nothing box. They're zoning out. They're not really thinking, and they're trying to clear their mind from all the stress and the pressure of the day.
And this is really hard for women. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's still something that I go, okay, I know you need to do it, but it is hard. And I hear this feedback from a lot of women all the time, that it is really hard for them to allow their men to empty or to go into their nothing box. And the reason why is because when a man has time away on his own, it actually makes the woman feel like he doesn't care. Because when women do that to each other, that's what that means. Yeah. But this is what we need to remember again. He's a man. It's different. He's not a woman. He's not abandoning us. He's not, it's not that he doesn't care. It's not that he doesn't love us. And we have to remember that they're men. They need different things to us. And the more I lovingly, willingly, happily give Adam permission to, not that he needs permission, but like let him go and have his nothing box time. Yeah. The happier I am because he comes back and he's present. Yeah. He's focused, he's certain, he's solid, he's in his masculine. He's able then to meet my needs. So then I'm like, okay, there's been times where I've seen he's been overwhelmed in the house, because this can happen to men in the modern world with kids and work and everything happening at once. They can get overwhelmed. And when they get overwhelmed, it brings out the feminine in them. They don't tend to rise as if it was a lion in front of them. They tend to like cower and be like, oh my God, how do I get out of here? Yeah. So I often, if I see Adam doing that, I will support him in that. I used to shame him in that and make him wrong and like try and pin him up against the wall, like not literally, but metaphorically, to get him to rise. But now I'll say, hey, you look overwhelmed. Like, what do you need? Do you need to go have some, like, take 5 breaths? Do you need to stand outside for a minute and then come back? And when he really appreciates it, he goes and does it. He comes back and then he can do the thing. Yeah.
And that's made the world a difference.
It has.
Just acknowledging that we are different. We need different things. And if you can just give your partner what they need, you'll both achieve your goals together.
You'll both get
with ease, with joy, and with more love.